Council members, ensure that you're talking into your microphone, please, and that they are on. We good to go?
Yep.
All right, thank you. All right, today is a committee of the whole meeting for Barberton City Council. It is May 6th, 2024. Before we begin our committee of the whole meeting, we do have individual committee meetings for this evening. And I'd like to start it off with street, sidewalk, and lighting with Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to call the Street, Sidewalk, and Lighting Committee to order. It is 5:59 p.m. We are in council chambers. Everybody in council is present, including everyone in the committee, and guests noted on my sheet. Tonight, we don't have anything new. No new requested legislation, no pending legislation. But I will give a little bit of an update on Worcester Road West and what is happening there. Any moment, sometime this week, the sidewalks will be going back in along the Worcester Road West there. One way, I wanted to note to everybody that the one way will begin at the end of this month, beginning of June. So all of the traffic that will be going westbound, you'll be able to go westbound, basically out of the city. End of this month, beginning of June. The eastbound traffic coming back into Barberton will be closed down. That's going to be closed until November of 2024. So into the fall, that will be closed until then. They're putting signage up. They should be putting signage up this week to kind of alert you guys to that. And then the signals, I think, are going to be coming down, I think, later on this week. Let's see. And then after that, it will flip-flop. So in November, it will flip over to eastbound traffic. I think I said that. In mid-June, they're going to start working on the Hudson Run Bridge. And that's also going to be half and half. So it'll be one way for a little while, then flip over to the other side and be the opposite direction. That's going to be in June, mid-June.
What bridge is that?
That's Hudson Run.
Okay.
And then it'll flip over to the second half, February of 2025 is when the other side will be started. And then end of July, the Wolf Creek Bridge will be started. Same story, it'll be going one way for half of the time, flip over in February to April to go in the opposite direction. Right now, I don't know which side is which. I'm assuming it's going to be the same way, west, first part, east, the second part. And then we had a couple of questions from Rebecca, Councilman Gerhardt here, with a couple of things here. Wanted to remind everybody that this is a 2-year project, so it's going to be finished September of 2025. There seemed to have been some confusion on when that was going to finish up, so it's going to be in 2025. Also, there has been a bit of confusion with businesses being able to be open, even bringing customers in. I did speak with the city today, and they're going to try to be more mindful of putting up notices on the Facebook page so everybody can know about when things are going to be happening. Not everything runs exactly on time, the exact date for each step of this project, but they're going to try to tell you in the next week this is going to start happening, in the next week this is going to start happening. So they're going to try to be more mindful to get it out to the public that way. Let's see. Were there any other questions to bring up on this topic that anybody wants to ask about? Nope. Okay. So.
Can you go over, I'm sorry, I was looking for the other questions versus my 6. Oh, I thought you were looking at Monty. Sorry. Can you give an idea of how it works, like in number 6, like how these projects work between the city and the companies contracted?
So the question is, is there kind of like a project manager over this. So the city and ODOT and Kenmore have weekly meetings. They're in constant contact with each other all of the time. And there is a gentleman from the building department that visits the site every single day. So somebody is always talking to someone during this. So I don't know if that's what you call a project manager, so to speak, but
They're kept in the
it
loop.
seems as though everybody is communicating with the proper party that needs to communicate with each other, in way of ODOT Kenmore and the building department. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so ODOT and Kenmore still kind of run it. They just keep the city in the
Kind
loop.
of a flowchart of ODOT Kenmore City.
Okay.
ODOT's the project manager, basically.
Right, I think you were more or less saying, is there somebody here that has a project manager?
I was envisioning the city at the top of the pyramid,
Right.
but it makes more sense ODOT's kind of the top, and they just tell us
I
what's
think I
happening.
misunderstood your question. I thought you were talking about somebody here.
Yeah, I figured somebody here knew what was going on, but who was in control? So it's ODOT probably? Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
Anything else?
Did letters go out from Insight?
I don't know if letters have gone out. I think when this first started, they did. I don't know if we've gotten any
Any
more
updates?
letters.
Okay.
We had met on Thursday, and the letters, they have not gone out yet. They're pretty darn close.
Going out soon? Okay.
We were fine tuning some of the work.
Is that businesses and residents that get letters?
They had shared a list of businesses. We went over that, but there's X number of homes there, so we should be able to get that taken care of as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Is the letters that are going from Insight to the businesses, are they giving the timeline to the business as to what's going on then?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Only because I asked because one of my businesses said, they close our entrance, they don't tell us till after they do it.
Gas
That's part of their big complaint. They don't know until after it's done. So, all right.
Thank you for finding all that out.
Let me make this note really quick. Okay, anybody else have anything? Sir?
Thank you, Chair. Any update for South Van Buren? How it's coming along? Any ahead of schedule, behind schedule? Just general.
I focused
that's
on
the-
Worcester Road today.
Well, I was more or less kind of eyeing the mayor there because he's been down on that one quite a bit, and that's an extensive one.
Yeah, so they, Mr. Teodecki will help me out as well, but they put kind of a limestone base down, and they had, last week, they were able to finish, I believe they finished all the lining of the sanitary sewer. The water line is in, the storm sewers are in, so they're moving right along. So I don't have a completion date. It's weeks like this that are very difficult because there's a chance of rain almost every day, right? Which really slows down or stops construction projects. But they're moving right along. Their decision to move to work throughout the winter months was pretty good. It was a good decision.
Very good.
Okay,
We going miscellaneous?
That was miscellaneous.
Are we done yet?
Yeah. This
Can
was
I-
miscellaneous discussion, yes. Go ahead.
I just want to give a big shout out to the Street and Parks group leaders. They've been on target with the complaints that I've gotten regarding potholes and parks not getting mowed. They're doing a phenomenal job keeping up, or trying to, with the way the weather's been. The only complaint I do have is about the website. It's so hard to navigate when you're doing a report of concern. If it's just a general fix-it ticket, there's not a box there that you can check mark for other. Like, say there's a bolt missing out of a swing or something, and it won't let you submit that ticket unless you check mark one of those boxes on the general fix-it, if you've seen that. So, hopefully, I don't know when the new website's coming out. Hopefully that problem gets fixed, and we can navigate it a little easier than what we have.
Yeah, we're beta testing that now. That should be going out here soon. I'll make note of that.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We are adjourned at 6:09.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. Next up is Environmental Health and Social Services with Mrs. Hager.
President Greer, Environmental Health and Social Services meets in the council chambers this evening, May 4th, or May 6th at 6:10 PM. All members of the committee are present, myself, Shorter Griffin, Taylor Thompson, Justin Greer, along with all other council members and guests as noted on my sheet. We have no request for legislation and no pending legislation. Just one quick thing, a reminder that now that the weather is sort of, knock on wood, staying warmer, a reminder that once it is over 50 degrees at night, the mosquito spraying will start, and residents, if they need it, they can ask for one free spraying of their yard. If a resident does have a real big issue with mosquitoes, the mosquito abatement district will work with them to help them if they have a bigger issue that one spraying cannot take care of. Do I have any comments from my committee, from the body, from the gallery? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second?
I'll second.
And we are adjourned at 6:11. Night house.
Thank you, Ms. Hager. Next up is Planning, Annexation, and Codes with Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes. It is Monday, May 6, 2024, 6:11 in council chambers. The committee is present, which consists of Councilors Thompson, Harris, President Greer, and myself as chair. All others noted. We got nothing. Director, I saw you back there talking to you earlier. Give me something. Give me development code talk. Give me plan commission talk. There's a meeting next week, correct?
There will be a meeting next week.
All right, give us all of it here.
Well, we don't have a whole lot on the agenda, but I can give you a heads up about the development code. That is moving along. We're expecting the last minute draft comments from our steering committee this coming Friday. We hope to have a near finalized version out the following week. Then we're looking to start doing some public engagement. And also, we'll have a pretty large list of vacant properties that the city owns coming your way shortly. We're just trying to iron out some of them to figure out if we need to hold them for a little bit of a larger project. You should be expecting to see that, some preliminary maps for each of your wards here within the next week or so.
All right. Any questions from anyone? Mr. President?
Mr. Chair,
Go.
I'll take it. The signs that were put up to sell the property, and this is why I think conversation is great, because it sparks questions that I was overlooking. So the signs that we have up for some of the city-owned properties, and this is for the director, how effective has that been?
I believe we had 20 signs that went up originally, and if I'm not mistaken, we've sold 5 or 6 of them so far. Most of those have been, the interest has been from a side lot perspective. I think we have one interest in new build.
Awesome.
We're looking to hold a summit where we invite residents and along with all of our local and kind of more regional developers to try and acquire the land. So we're hoping the next list that you see is a little over 100 properties that we're looking to move. We've already done some preliminary ordering of signs, so signs similar to what you've seen go up. We're going to try and have as many of those out on the posted signs as posted properties as humanly possible.
Awesome. Thank you, Director. Thank you.
Councilor Garrett?
Do you know if there'll be a planning meeting this month?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
It's going to be on? Okay, good. Thank you.
Anything else? Gallery? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:14.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. We have a... One sec. just making sure. Check that out. Next up is Finance and Personnel with Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting to order. It is Monday, May 6th, 6:14 PM here in Council Chambers. All members of the committee are present, which includes myself as chair, Mr. Heidig, Mr. Griffin, and President Greer. All other council members are present, as well as guests as noted on my agenda sheet. We have a few requests for legislation. The first being a letter from Lisa Kolish Miller, Law Director, requesting an appropriation of $20,000 to the Law Department's operation and maintenance budget from the unappropriated item of the general fund to pay annual fees to the Direct Indictment Program of Summit County for 2022. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Are there any questions regarding this request? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I will second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, another letter from Lisa Miller, Law Director, requesting payment approval to Cheshire DeBrose in the amount of $4,789.50, invoiced for legal services rendered. Are there any questions regarding this? Yep.
I'm going to ask that be held. I think that there's a different one coming. We have had a significant snafu on this bill, and in my office in particular, I will take accountability for that. We've had a meeting with Finance Director Flaker and the new administrative assistant that's in my office, and myself. I primarily have not, taken full responsibility for budget and purchasing orders. That was typically Ms. Fox's responsibility, and the new administrative assistant has taken that responsibility over, and clearly this is not my area of expertise. So, as you can tell from the slate of requests, we're not doing the best job, my team and I. So Mr. Flaker and his assistant finance director have sat down with us and helped us muddle through. My apologies to everyone, including Mr. Flaker and his patience with our office. So I think that I would like to withdraw that request, and because Hannah just brought another one to me. That was the training that I discussed with you guys last week that was very successful, but I want to withdraw that one because I think there's another one and I'm not really sure what happened. So my apologies.
Fair enough. Yep. Moving on. We have a letter from Stacy Carr, Strategic Planner, requesting legislation to appropriate $129,000 from the unappropriated line item of the CDBG fund to the Planning Department's budget of the CDBG fund. Emergency wording is requested, and these funds will be utilized for various HUD-approved projects. Mr. Roessler, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, this is just making the funds available for projects that were approved by council for the 2023 annual action plan. So we're not doing any new projects that council didn't already bless.
Right.
Approve the plan.
Off the top of your head, can you remind us what this might include?
Yep, I can tell you. So a portion of it is going to go to just general administrative costs. The majority is going to our public service, then along with economic development and some demolition monies.
Okay.
But we also have some allocated for capital infrastructure and code enforcement efforts.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions regarding this request? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, we have a letter from Jamie Eisman, Safety and Human Resources Director, requesting legislation to place Shannon Davis, Police Information Specialist, at pay grade 3, step 9, per ordinance 15-2024. Emergency wording is requested. I think we all know Ms. Davis. She's got 26 years' experience, and according to Director Eisman, has performed well beyond expectations. Are there any questions, remarks regarding this request? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call, please?
So moved.
Thank you, and a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have a letter from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director, requesting legislation authorizing the Finance Director to execute and deliver a lease purchase agreement with Huntington Public Capital. Emergency wording and one reading requested. This is for two 2025 Ford Explorers with outfitting, police vehicles, and one Hustler Super 104 mower. Are there any questions, remarks regarding this request?
Are those for cruisers?
Yep.
Is the mower going to the Parks Department then, I take it?
Can I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, and a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a letter from Michael Teodecki, City Engineer, requesting legislation to appropriate $274,725 from the unappropriated item of the Stormwater Fund to the Stormwater Capital Budget for the Snyder Avenue Stream Restoration and Flood Mitigation Project. Emergency wording is requested. Are there any questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call?
So moved.
Thank you, and a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a letter from Jamie Eisman, Director of Public Safety and Human Resources, requesting legislation to approve the renewal contract with MedMutual Life for group life insurance from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Emergency wording and one reading is requested. If we want to call this, we need to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302, which is the 10-day rule. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion to suspend.
Okay, in a second?
Before I second that, are these dates right? 25 through 25, and then the next one, 23 through 24?
Yes, they are. So, this is a housekeeping error. Everything was paid, but when we switched carriers from MedMutual to MetLife, and we're also separate with the county on Medical Mutual, there was no actual renewal of a contract for life insurance. That just kept going. And it wasn't until I was in preparations for the next year where I wanted to do the request for 2025. I was like, well, let me reference the past year. So it wasn't there. So it's definitely a housekeeping issue. But everything's been paid. I mean, there's no delay on service or anything like that.
Can I just confirm it is MedMutual Life and not MetLife?
It's
like you said.
I'm
Is
sorry.
it the same
Well,
thing?
we used to have Medical Mutual for dental and vision.
Okay.
In addition to life insurance, and then the dental and vision separated. So MedMutual Life is a division of Medical Mutual.
Perfect. Just wanted to double check. Okay.
I will second it.
Those in favor?
Aye.
And then can I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. In a second?
I'll second.
Great, those in favor?
Aye.
And next up, as Ms. Eisman just talked about, this is requesting legislation to approve the renewal contract with MedMutual Life for group life insurance from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. And this is the same thing. We need to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302, the 10-day rule. Can I have a motion for that, please?
Make a motion to suspend.
Thank you. In a second?
I will second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a motion to call, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
We have no pending legislation. I will open it up for miscellaneous for finance and personnel. Anything from my committee? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Mayor, has there been any movement on the First Merit Building and the Justice Center?
We've been having meetings and internal discussions. That's about it for now. We did apply for some federal funding. They returned some comments on our applications. So we responded to those questions and comments. So kind of waiting that process out. That's it.
Any word from the foundation as a partner or anything?
No, we've got a meeting set up so later this month.
Thank you.
How much was the grant for that you applied?
I have to get back. Because we applied for a certain amount, they came back, one thing they said was, maybe you should apply for more. So,
Yes, please.
I want to be accurate on the numbers.
Great.
Okay.
Before we apply for things like that, we talk to lobbyists and different people. What did they grant that passed and how much? You can't go ask for the moon because you know that that's not realistic. But you don't want to lowball it either, right? So we do a lot of research on what's been approved in the past for different types of grants. So we felt comfortable with the initial ask, and after some more conversations, they returned their comment. So we obliged them.
Is that a good sign that they asked us to ask for more money, that we'll get it?
I'll tell you after.
We get it.
Okay, all right.
I would think so.
Right.
All right, is there any more miscellaneous for finance? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
And a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:26.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That concludes our individual committee meetings. Let's go ahead and take a 3-minute break, and we'll start on our committee of the whole meeting. Begin here in 30 seconds. Thank you. Oh. Yeah. No, I could do another candy bar. Not really. That's what I was choking on.
You need a Snickers.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. All right, this is, today's Monday, May 6th, 2024. It's a committee of the whole meeting for Barberton City Council. I call this meeting to order at 6:36 p.m. We have Boy Scout Troop 101 came in while we're at the committee meeting, so I'm going to ask them if they want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next up is citizens addressing council. We have one person addressing council, and while she's probably pretty familiar with the rules, you have 5 minutes. Just note that council will not reply back to you. And first, well, actually the only one here is Mrs. Phillips. Please state your name, address, and the reason for speaking.
Well, I'm Rebecca Phillips, and I'm from 471 Lincoln Avenue, and I'm talking about May is Stroke Awareness Month, and I'm going to hand out papers, and yeah.
I did not.
No, you didn't.
Thank you.
Well,
I did, when we did it, this is extra. Send it back over.
Did they both get them?
Extra.
Did they both get them?
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, so I had a stroke a year and a half ago, and so May is Stroke Awareness Month, and I just want to hand stuff out for the residents to know what to look for in the stroke, and the acronym is Be Fast. So, hold on, I forget. So balance, and eye, like if your eyes go like blind, facial, so drooping and stuff, and arm weakness, beach, and it's time to call 911. So I had called my mom and told her I was doing good, and she's taken me to the hospital, and their quickness is why I'm here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Sure.
Is it always related to high blood, or do you have low blood pressure and still have it?
It's high blood pressure. Yeah, so, because I have high blood pressure, so that's why I had my stroke, so, and I'm young, so not many young people know what to look for. And even senior citizens, they don't know either, so, yeah. Anything else?
I just want to say I'm glad that you're here.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're red this month for stroke awareness.
You got it.
And, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips. It is truly nice to have you coming back into council.
Yes, we missed you.
There are no other citizens addressing council. Excuse me. So we'll move into our committee reports. And first up is street, sidewalk, and lighting with Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing to report, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. Environmental Health and Social Services, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met in council chambers, just reminded people about the mosquito abatement district, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Ms. Hager. Planning, Annexation, and Codes, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes has nothing to report. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. City Properties, Parks, and Recreation, Mr. Cheatham.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Properties, Parks, and Recreation. We have legislation, Parks Department naming the fields and approving the naming of the fields only at the Barberton Community Foundation Sports Complex to the Bob Kersta Fields at the Barberton Community Foundation Sports Complex. That is all I have, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Cheatham. Public Welfare and Safety, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Welfare and Safety Committee met on April 29th, and we had nothing. And with that, I would pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Rules, Marketing, and Development, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules, Marketing, and Development met on April 29th. We were 4 minutes shy of taking an hour to discuss 4 pieces of legislation. We talked about term limits, and we talked about term limits for council, for boards and commissions, for the mayor, and we also talked about abolishing the primary election, which would make Barberton nonpartisan. And that was the bulk of our conversations, and with that, I pass.
Just for clarification, those warrants have been withdrawn.
They were all redacted the next day or withdrawn, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Gerhart.
Yes.
City Utilities, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Utilities met on April 29th. All members of my committee were present, myself as chair, Jennifer Hager, Emily Beck, and Justin Greer, and all others noted. We had one piece of legislation to call for. A letter from Mayor William Judge requesting a resolution opposing Dominion Energy Ohio proposed 30% rate increase and requesting that the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio, PUCO, deny request. Emergency wording and one reading was requested. A motion was made and we approved it. And we also had pending legislation. We had pending legislation that we voted on last week. Ordinance number 35-2024 was approved and we voted on it. And ordinance number 36-24 was also approved. Motion was made and we adjourned at 8:13. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Last but not least, Finance and Personnel, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, Finance and Personnel, we voted on 3 different ordinances as council as a whole. The first being ordinance 34-2024, amending ordinance 27-2024, entering the contract OpenGov to reflect an increase in the amount of $152,156 due to the contract being implemented for 3 years. We also passed ordinance title Appropriation Finance Department, which appropriates $2,782,654 to the capital budget of the city. And then Resolution 37-2024, the MOU between the City Board of Education of the Barberton City School District and the Barberton Community Foundation, that passed as well. We also had a presentation from the International Welcome Center regarding the refugee program last week. And then this evening, we met at 6:14 here in council chambers. All members were present, as well as guests as noted on my sheet. We are calling for the following legislation, the first being a letter from Lisa Miller, Law Director, requesting appropriation of $20,000 to the Law Department's Operation and Maintenance budget for the Direct Indictment Program for 2022. We withdrew a request regarding legal services rendered. We are calling for legislation to appropriate $129,000 to the CDBG fund. This is for various HUD projects, or projects approved by HUD, rather. Also calling for legislation to place Shannon Davis, Police Information Specialist, at pay grade 3, step 9. And legislation authorizing the Finance Director to execute and deliver a lease purchase agreement with Huntington Public Capital for 2 new police cruisers and a mower for parks maintenance. Legislation to appropriate $274,725 in relation to the Snyder Avenue Stream Restoration and Flood Mitigation Project, as well as legislation to approve the renewal contract with MedMutual Life for group life insurance from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. We suspended the rules, the 10-day rule for that, as well as for legislation to approve the renewal contract with MedMutual Life from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. That was also a late request, and that's going forward as well. And we adjourned at 6:26. With that, I passed.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That concludes our committee reports for this evening. Is there anything from the body to report? Ms. Gerhardt.
I would like to thank you and Mrs. Hager and Mr. Harris and Ms. Phillips for coming out to the prayer walk this Saturday. We had about 150 people probably attend through the day, and we only had rain towards the end, and it went pretty quick. So it was a great event. I'll be planning on doing it yearly, if not more. So thank you.
Anything else from council? Mr. Cheatham?
Yes, I also would like to thank Council Lori for the kind gestures during my brother's funeral, and won't go unnoticed. Thank you.
Is there anything else from council members? All right, department heads. Mr. Shreve, I was told that he wanted to share some stuff.
So I just wanted to come and talk to you guys just for a minute tonight. So we've been working on trying to get the water line material survey out in front of the public. So what this is, this is an EPA lead and copper rule revision that requires us to identify service line materials on both homeowner side and the city-owned service side. So what we've done is we've worked with B&N and we've tried to create an online survey. So On the piece of paper in front of you, you'll see there's a QR code on there. So the easiest way to do this, because we're requiring a picture, so the only way that I can ensure that you're giving me accurate information is I want to see it with my own two eyes. You can tell me that you've got a copper water service, but if I can't physically see that you've got a copper water service, I don't want to mark it down because it would be an errant record. So we require a picture. So that is most easily done with a cellular device, a smartphone, something along those lines. So the more of the public that we can get to participate in this survey, the less homes that I have to have my customer service physically visit. Because what's going to happen is if we don't get these surveys back, we're going to send the customer service representative out there to go in the home and look at the water service where it comes through the basement wall. Now, I want to say it's in the 1960s somewhere, we had an ordinance that said that you cannot use anything but copper. So at that point in time, so we know almost all of the homes post that date are going to be copper. EPA recognizes as long as we have a rule in place, we don't physically have to visit that particular home. Now, I still want the whole public to give me what's coming through their wall, just because I want to know whether it's copper or plastic, because we have started to allow some plastic in the last, several years. And it helps us just keep good records, good accurate records, because 25 years from now, the EPA might say, hey, I want to know how many plastic water services you have. Well, guess what? If I have that record now, it's going to make it easier when they come at me the next time. So what this does is this allows us some insight and to help us comply. The other thing that is here is there's customer services phone numbers on there. So if it's an elderly or somebody that doesn't have a smartphone, or you don't have cell service, or you're not on the internet, you can also make the phone call in, schedule an appointment, and we will have our customer service come out and look at that water service line also. So I mean, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. We put a handout in the water bill. I'm sure you all saw it when you got your water bill. Prior to that, we had 25 to 30 records just through Facebook. We're up to 157, Denny reported to me today, just from that handout that went in the last water bill. So hopefully we can continue, they continue to come in, and we can get that done. The original date I was told was October this year. So I found out some new information. I went to a government affairs workshop in Columbus and found out some new information, new dates. So October, we have to have our main goals in place, essentially, and then we've got a time frame to complete this survey, and then I believe it's 10 years we have to have every lead service removed from service. It sounds like a long time, but depending on how many we end up coming up with, we've got to plan accordingly. So, does anybody have any questions on this? Taylor, let's start.
So if you happen to have lead, right, would that be taken care of at the city's expense or the homeowners?
So that's something that we are working on currently. So I have never seen a lead water service that comes into a home. Okay. But a galvanized service identifies to me that there is the potential that there's a lead gooseneck at the water main. So a lead gooseneck at the water main is our side of the water service. So at that point in time, we would investigate our side of the water service, and we would remove anything that we found that was lead. We do occasionally dig up water services if it's galvanized at the service valve, which is the valve that turns on and off your home, and it's galvanized on our side. We will replace it all the way to the main because we're suspecting that there is a lead gooseneck. At that point in time, water plant samples, I don't remember exactly what the regimen is, but I want to say it's, initially, and then 24 or 48 hours later, they test it to make sure that, because when you disturb, lead is a safe material until it's disturbed. So what happens is when it's disturbed, the coating can come off and it can release. So again, not to frighten anybody, it's a safe material, service line material. We put additives in our water to coat the insides of lead. It's been around for a long, long time, but it's one of those things that we want to target and eliminate. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Charter, you had one?
Yes, Todd, so you're saying anything It doesn't matter when your house is built, you want a picture of everything.
I would love to have a picture of every water, like this is, we want to do an entire inventory of all of our water services if we can, yes. And then President Greer, you had one?
Yeah, so just for clarification, this is not something that we want to do as a city. This is something that we're mandated to do by the
EPA is
federal government.
mandating every city across the country from East Coast to West Coast has a service material inventory. Yes.
I had somebody, I posted about it, and they kind of was like, yeah, and I was like, oh, it's
I mean, I
required.
I can find the actual EPA.
I was just wanted clarification. And there was something else, and I cannot, I just wanted to give you guys kudos. I did it as soon as I got the email from the mayor's office. Went out as a mass email, and I did it, I think I was done in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
now we do have, some people don't understand. We try to, I believe on there's some examples of the picture.
There was, yeah.
And I need it to look exactly like the example. What happens is if you take it from here looking right at the water meter, I can't tell what that material is. I need to actually see if it's dark. It would be nice if somebody put some light on it. Because what's going to happen is if I don't get good pictures, then my customer service has to go out and look again. Just because, like I said, I can't have false information. I mean, I've already looked at some of them, and we had, they claimed that it was copper, and I looked at it, and there's no flare nut on it. It's threaded right into a valve, and it's clearly galvanized. So I mean, there are going to be some, places that we're going to have to go out and look at anyhow. So the more accurate the photo can be, the better it's going to help us. Yes, Megan.
Is the city taking a proactive approach to the streets that you're resurfacing and redoing, like Van Buren and Worcester, and actually having the customer service go out and do that now? So why it's being ripped up, you guys know now.
So Van Buren, we replaced all of the water services were done on Van Buren. But that's a very good question about Worcester Road West. That's something that we should probably
because I would suspect
move
those
up on a priority list, honestly.
Before 1960,
Yeah.
So they should all.
And I mean, if you haven't noticed, there are a few holes here and there on Worcester Road. So I mean, I'm sure we've ran into a few of them. But no, that's a very, very good point, and we will maybe we'll expedite our survey in that area.
How many have you gotten back so far?
So 157 as of this morning. So yeah, like I said though, it started off real slow. We started off, it was only on our Facebook, and the notification that went out through Civic Plus. It was like because we've used it as a bulletin across the top of our website. So if you were signed up for notifications, you got a ping right away that survey was up there. And like I said, we started off right around 30, and then we put the mailer in the bill, and we're up to 157, and they're still coming in. So.
How many pipes do you think are out there?
I mean, how many homes do we have? So whatever our residency is, and the thing is so we're responsible for water in Norton also. So I mean, we actually really should inventory all of those services also.
Wow. Okay.
So, any other question?
I have a question, but it's not about this.
Okay.
Water main break cutouts.
Okay.
What are we doing with those? Are we getting to them, or?
So I mean, they're a rolling list.
Okay.
There were 75 water mains last year, and if they got to all of the holes from the previous year, we start from earliest and move through. If we can group them together, if say there's 6 of them on one road or in one neighborhood, they try to put them together. But it's a rolling list, and yes, the hot box is down. It's back repaired, ready to go. So they should be doing cutouts, weather permitting.
And then street sweeping starts May 13th.
The street sweeper, so we had some repairs made to our broom bear. It just came back this week. They will be, you'll see it out. They're going to, because again, we want to make sure everything's working and functional, and so you may see it out this week and next. But yes, the 13th is the actual schedule.
And we just might want to reiterate to everybody that they only do curb streets with a street sweeper. Because I've had tons of people asking me, why won't they do mine?
And one of the things we're looking at doing too is, so the downtown area, it's always so hard in the downtown area because of all the parking. So we're looking to try to create more of a consistent rolling schedule with that also. And so right now, just for lack of ease, we're looking at doing the Dora and expanding it from the Dora every other week, just to try to, this way the downtown, so if you park in the street, you can get accustomed to, it's going to be on Thursday, it's going to be every other Thursday, starting next Thursday. And so the cars would need to be in the lots on Thursday night so that we can sweep all roads included in the Dora, and then, like I said, they'll expand out from there. And that's the downtown schedule currently. So we're going to try to help keep the downtown looking good.
So every other Thursday, starting from next week.
Starting next
Dora or all of downtown? Well, that's kind of all of downtown.
So the Dora covers a large area.
Yeah.
And so the problem with street sweeping is street sweeping starts off slow because after winter, the debris heavier. And he can't just, he has to run back to the dump. So depending on where he's sweeping at and how fast the machine fills up, he's got to have a place to dump the debris. So that also slows things down, because if you're driving from downtown to Brady Street to dump, and then you have to come back to downtown to start where you left off, it takes some time. As the debris gets lighter, we may look at spreading that out. It might be once a month instead of every other week, because he'll be able to get through it much quicker, and there will be less debris to pick up. So, but we're exploring some different things. We also have the old street sweeper is functional, so we're going to probably, you'll see 2 of them out during the day doing some day sweeping to try to also catch up when we first start.
So you'll sweep right before the second Saturdays, correct? Will that make?
If that's how the schedule
have
plays
to
out,
look,
then
yeah.
I would have to look at a calendar
Yeah.
also.
So that would be nice if you could make that happen, you know,
Yeah.
as more times than not.
Any other questions? All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shreve. Is there any other department heads that would like to add? All right. I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. That's coming up, and that's it. So we'll hop over to Mayor's report.
Thank you, President Greer. I want to thank First Troop 101 for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. Change for Change later this month, Friday the 31st, the VFW, benefiting the Magical Theater Company. This is the same evening as the White Rabbit anniversary show at their studio down the street here. Do want to reiterate that the International Welcome Center works with refugees. These are not illegals, they're not immigrants. The refugees are part of a federal program that are actually invited to the U.S. They're flown here, they don't walk here. The city is not a sanctuary city. All refugees have been vetted and documented. So I might repeat that several times over the next few meetings. Update from Trucian Farm, or concerning Trucian Farm, we've been talking to the developer. They've been working on this for a while here. And the plan is to start the roadway construction here in the next few months. So a lot of work's been going into where the road's going to go versus the houses and everything of that nature. So that's moving along. A lot of updates on construction projects. Here's one more. The Snyder Stream Oxbow wetland that we talked about, appropriating some money. That's going to start very soon. You may have seen some equipment that's down that was unloaded, so very excited about that. We want to thank you for the kind words with our street department and parks and maintenance. You know, our crews are busy every day throughout the city, and we had some seasonal start last Monday, so they can really tackle some issues throughout the city. But whether it's potholes, grass, or water main breaks, or flushing hydrants, you know, it's that time of the year when street sweeping, when everything is kind of a priority, right? So they're jumping on that. Give them a little bit of time because there's a lot to do, but they're getting at it. So they do provide a great service. So thank you for the kind words, and that's all I have. Any questions? Yes.
I'm sure you don't have a list in front of you, but have we had to mow any private lots yet?
I'm not sure. We've been out mowing. I believe most of them have been parks and city lots, but I'd have to check. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. With nothing else, this meeting is adjourned at 7:05 p.m.